How's it going, everybody? Chase moves were something that many heroes were lacking in their moveset. The reworks added some, but that doesn't mean that all of them are working as we had hoped. Disengaging is a vital part of fights, and if it is absolutely free, then you are able to dictate the fight. Well, not the fight, but rather whether one is happening in the first place. And to my knowledge, nobody has tested all of them recently, and on top of that, testing has always been in regard to the specific mix-up of that hero, which is understandable, but it makes it harder to compare them to each other. So here's what we're doing today. We are testing which hero can catch someone that is backwards rolling away from you after a successful counterguard break. That's something everyone can do, and it is something frequently used when you want to disengage. Some of these chase moves will require delaying the input to extend its range, so I'll do 3 scenarios total. First one will be a hard buffered input of the move directly after the counterguard break, basically making the read that a roll will happen. If necessary, I'll try and extend the range by delaying it. These two would tell us if the move is usable on a read. And then I'll wait for the opponent to actually roll, basically do the move on reaction to seeing the opponent try and get away. This is always a little vague, as I know what's supposed to happen and I might react ever so slightly early. But as I'm no reaction monster by any means, this should still give us a good baseline. Ideally, this is the scenario we want a move to work in. While doing these tests, I realized that these types of moves are actually pretty common now, so it'll be a much longer video than I expected. But we found a few nice things. The order is the usual in videos like this. We'll do it per faction, and then we move through it by order of character selection. So let's start with the Knights, meaning with Warden. Let me explain one thing with him that goes for pretty much all heroes. If you hard buffer the input directly after a counterguard break and not delay anything, then that move will most likely hit within the iframes of the roll, or rather, it will not hit. This is very common, and unless stated otherwise, this is how the move behaves in that scenario. I'm sure you don't want to look at exactly this on 20 different heroes. Delaying the input of the attack, meaning you wait a tiny bit after inputting the dodge, will extend your range and make the attack come out later, which means it will now track the roll and give you a successful attack. Valiant Breakthrough also works every single time when you do it on reaction. Both a buffered and a delayed input will do the trick. If it wasn't for the terrible sticky targeting of the move, it would be an absolute menace in teamfights when trying to peel or catch opponents that try to get away. Moving on to PK, hers is a little weird. It works better on reaction than on read. Like Warden, her buffered input whiffs and the delay window isn't that big, so I had more success when I did it on reaction. The forward movement is quite substantial and I had no trouble catching my target. Then for Centurion, first the heavy, it is one of the few moves that catches on buffered input. Delaying works as well. When you do it on reaction, you need to really delay the input, dodge and wait before inputting the heavy, otherwise your attack will be short. Then the kick, if you make the read that someone wants to roll away, you can catch them with a delayed kick. On reaction, you better stick to the heavy. Then Black Prior, unsurprising, his Tenebrous Thrust does not work at all. Neither buffered nor delayed on the read. And forget on the reaction. We also tested the soft feint just in case, but no dice. Griffin's Dodge Light works when delaying it on a read. The Dodge Heavy works both buffered as well as delayed. The buffered version can whiff, probably depends on the roll timing of your target, so better delayed if you're forced to make the read. On the reaction, only the heavy worked. You can use his bash as well, if you're delayed and do it on the read, basically like the light. Then Conqueror, yeah right. Lawbringer, you can attempt an unlock and then impale. He doesn't have any move that will catch either. It's a free disengage as long as you're paying attention. Then Gladiator, he can do a delayed dodge light on read as well as a reaction. Even if you miss the delay window, a neutral light has quite a bit of forward momentum and will let you catch opponents. Then Warmonger, her forward dodge heavy has the undodgeable property, so it catches on all correct reads. On the reaction, it works better if you buffer it. There is no need to increase the range, it is better if you input it early. It ignores the iframes, so the earlier you can have the tracking kick in, the better. Moving on to the Vikings, Raider's only chance is to make a read and perfectly delay the forward dodge stun and tap. It is a finicky timing. And don't even hope at catching someone with that on reaction. Berserker on the other hand has plenty of options. The forward dodge heavy catches every time, buffered and delayed on the read as well as on the reaction to the roll. Problem is that if done on the reaction, you will be too slow and the move is counterable. The forward dodge light will catch on the reaction just fine and in time. It requires a delayed input, so dodge forward and wait the full window and then input the light. Highlander's dodge heavy works on read, buffered and delayed inputs work. Just don't delay the dodge itself. No chance to catch anyone on the reaction though. Then Jormungandr, he's one of the few that can straight up buffer the input on the read. When delaying it, the game flat out eats your input half the time. It feels terrible. On the reaction, don't even think about it, it's not happening. Warlord's head splitter is also terrible. When buffered, it has this cinematic camera movement. That's the only reason I'm showing it really. The delay window is not exactly generous and results in you not reaching, even when performing it on read. On the reaction to a roll, you're also not reaching. Your only chance to stop someone from disengaging with a roll is by straight up zoning after the guard break. Valkyrie can catch both on read as well as a reaction. On the reaction, both buffered as well as delayed inputs work. And then Shaman. This should come as no surprise, but she can catch you with her dodge heavies as well as the forward dodge bash. Even when hard buffering the input on the read, the top heavy will catch. Side heavies are too quick. When delaying the inputs, all sides catch. If you see someone rolling, you can catch them on the reaction with both moves. Moving on to the Samurai. Kensei's Nature's Wrath hits buffered as well as delayed on read. And it also works on the reaction, but you can't sleep on the input. Timing is rather strict, but it's still doable. For the forward dodge light, it only works on a read and if you delayed the light input. Then Orochi, his forward dodge light is undodgeable, so it works in all scenarios. If you do it on the reaction, it requires a delayed input. The window is pretty generous, so it shouldn't be that hard to get it consistently with a little bit of practice. Storm Rush will reach the opponent, but the attacks are too slow and are always at least blockable. Then Shinobi, my favorite hero, he can get double dodge forward into kick if you make the read. The delay window is non-existent, so you only have the option to buffer. For ranged heavies, they either will be short or blockable. Let's hope the rework changes this and gives him some actual options. Then Hitukiri, she's a little peculiar. On a read, you need to delay the heavy input, then it will catch. If you do it on the reaction, you cannot delay it. You need to buffer the heavy after the dodge. Only then it will track, and pretty consistently at that. Shugoki needs a delayed input to catch somebody on a read. On the reaction, his heavy will not track. My guess it's the range problem after a counter guard break. Everybody who played this hero knows that you cannot go for another guard break after a counter guard break, because it will always whiff. This little bit of extra distance is probably what also causes the dodge heavy to always fall short. Then for Nobushi, her forward dodge light will track on read if the light input is delayed. The forward dodge heavy will catch if the input is buffered, but once again, only on read. On the reaction, she cannot catch her opponent. Then Aramusha, his forward dodge heavy will always track. Buffered, delayed, on read, or on reaction. It will connect. In these tests, his was probably the most consistent, even more so than the ones with undodgeable property. He's almost shaman level, you're not disengaging from an Aramusha. And then for the Wulin. TND's forward dodge light has the undodgeable property, so on the read, you can always buffer it and catch the roll. For the heavy, you also need to do it on read and not delay. You do have another option, forward dodge into zone. This is a mix of read and reaction. You need to forward dodge on read, and then you can zone on reaction to seal the roll. TND doesn't have a full reaction punish. Then Nusha, her attack feels terrible, I don't play her much, but these tests felt painful with her. Good news is though, that you can catch her rolls on reaction, no problem. Then Junhu. The forward dodge light isn't the tool to do it. What I did manage once was forward dodge and then throw a neutral light. That one seemed to have a lot of forward momentum, but I couldn't do it consistently and it's also only on read anyways. The forward dodge heavy only works on read and with a delayed input. I didn't manage to catch anything on the reaction. Moving on to JJ, a delayed heavy can catch on the read. And you can also do it on the reaction. The heavy has really good tracking. The forward dodge kick can work on a read. It requires to almost max delayed and only then it will track. I thought the timing was quite finicky. And then our last hero, Shaolin. With a delayed input, it always catches, both on read as well as on reaction. The forward dodge felt pretty good and very consistent. It feels like you're always in range without any of the sudden forward sliding like some other moves. And that's it. I was a little surprised how much work this video was, so I hope some of you learned a thing or two. Obviously, reaction punishes are much better, but disengaging from a fight is sometimes quite obvious. If you fight someone with like a single bar of health, you can guess that they want to get out of that fight and go heal. This is then the time where you can make the read and actually catch them rolling away. Let me know if I forgot anything or overlooked anybody. With that said, I hope the video was helpful. Thanks for watching. Laters everybody.